is God in a rush to change things with everything going on right now? Like, what's he doing about people's free will and their refusal to change? So do you think that his patience is a weakness? Like, or could patience be power that's under control, under command? So why would God be patient with all this then? Why should we be? Or is there a patience that can somehow serve the end goal better? The person who can stand still in the fire not only maintains composure and sound mind and heart, but in the fire they shed worthless things encumbering them as they're burned off, because that's what the fire does. Plus, staying in the fire means they're available to make a move at the right time. So holding in the fire helps them to make the more powerful strike that's also timely and can change everything because of that. So can you hold and allow the fire to refine, not ruin you? The destruction of things that we treasure naturally feels heavy and often feels endless, which makes new creation seem really delayed before it finally arrives. So when destruction or loss feels unbearable, remind yourself that the chance for something vast and powerful is also being created in its place. The chance for it is being created. It's still our choice to accept or resist it. So definitely mourn the loss when something valuable is being destroyed. Honor and love it well as it leaves you. That's so sacred. But people who swing wildly between hyped hope and complete despair totally miss the progress that comes in surrendering to the river's movement. You can even harness it while still protecting its freedom. So what do we do with people's free will? God's predominant mode is to not force things. There's so many things he prefers and still doesn't force. So what's this weird dichotomy of his, of being all-powerful and yet self-limiting? Is there some, ancient wisdom of his guiding this? Is he modeling something for us to do? The divine artist isn't a factory worker, so he looks like he's painting with uncertainty and he has no plan. He's just experimentally slapping some paint here, a little there, just seeing how it goes. And it could be annoying for us to watch because we don't see the final masterpiece. So why does God allow himself to be so affected? Like, remember, the scriptures are full of God feeling very negative things because of people's choices. He felt betrayed, sad, angry, forgotten, completely heartbroken. So why subject yourself to those things? It must be a greater why than most of us carry in our hearts and minds and in our core identity. So can you trust that behind the apparent chaos is a perfect intelligence and an infinite patience of God's that we might not understand? Just trust it. So is he in a rush? He has all of eternity to finish his work. Maybe he's certain of his ultimate aim and maybe doesn't mind, breaking things apart 100 times if it brings them closer to perfection, closer to each other and closer to him. Is all the breaking directly from him? Aren't we each these raw, jagged stones inside this tumbler here? And we're meant to crash into each other for refinement. While some of us crash, but completely refuse to soften in order to get refined, and then others stay on the outer walls and refuse to brush up against others at all. And both of them have logical sounding reasons for doing it with scriptures to back it up too. And then finally, some surrender to the crashing and to the softening for the sake of the refinement. It's a painful pleasure. It's bittersweet. And we have the freedom to attempt controlling or choose to self-limit for the sake of a greater why. How far along would you say humankind is in our whole journey of refinement? Do you think there's further for us to go as a collective? That's why holding in the fire is essential. It's a committed patience, not the weak kind that gives up or hides or puts necessary things off, but the strong, calm kind that actively waits because it's deeply connected to something greater than themselves. It deconstructs and reconstructs, and it ends up better built and more beautiful than ever, every time. Ironically, what happens in the tumbler when we let ourselves be refined? The crash, the touch of others grows more gentle. The touch of God grows more gentle. And his final design starts to emerge and beauty starts to be visible as it all gets smoother. Why did God choose such a difficult process? I don't feel like I know with fullness, but I think it's because his vision of our perfection looks like him. He's someone who's not only the lion, but also the lamb. They are abundant in compassion, but people who are also fiercely just. A servant and a leader. If you want to be wise, you must become a fool. If you want to be first, you must become last. This is God's way. So good luck choosing one-sided extremes. He can confound the most brilliant scholar, but be grasped by a child. So don't despair strength or reject it just because it sometimes looks harsh. Gentleness is divine, and so is force. True perfection, true maturity, and God-sized impact has the traits needed to respond to all situations with the most fitting response. So it carries both the tenderness of a healer and the strength of a hero. I love that God, and I want to be like him. And the greatest strengths are born from the greatest struggles. You can't train your muscles to handle more without putting them under stress. There's no other path to greater strength. But there's reason to hope still, guys. You know, a few, maybe only a small number, are ready to be transformed. They're ready to show strength without impulsive violence, show compassion without cowering. Divine balance. So right now, we're at another great turning point in history. It's clear. Everywhere, people are anxious and afraid, asking, you know, what's going to happen. And there's only one answer. If people could consent to being tumbled and give themselves to the crash for the sake of something greater than them. And it wouldn't take everyone either. What if we only needed a few open souls to shift the whole direction of history? So the question for each of us is probably this: what are you going to do in the fire? Will you allow it to burn away what's false, dark, ugly, hurtful, and weak, instead of needing another world crisis to do it for us? That's the invitation. And time is running short, but God seems to be in no rush and willing to keep letting the tumbler turn. So what are you going to do?